Howdy there, fellow Shadow Priests. The last few streams we've been doing at nights around 11 Eastern. I've gotten a couple of requests on how to do a lot of damage as Necro Shadow Priest. And I thought that maybe this would be helpful for some people because this is not really something that I've covered before or something that I even really enjoy doing, but it just seems like the way to win arenas now is to play kind of full balls to the wall aggro Shadow Priest, which I guess is better than doing no damage and passively dying. But yeah, so what's gonna enable us to do the most damage? Let's just kind of take the step by step. I am in a solo shuffle queue, so we're gonna see a real-time example where I can kind of talk through it as I do it, and then maybe if that isn't that great of an example, I will go back and review some games from last night where I did more damage than everybody, but we can create a quick little list of important things to consider. So first is the legendary. I've been told that Safuz is the most damage, but I'm quite honestly really enjoying this Painbreaker legendary. There's a reason for that. It's just instant on-demand damage. Like I casted one Shadow Word Death and I did 13.5k damage. So you combine that with a 4k death and it's like a 17k hit, which isn't crazy, but also you're not going to get anything higher than that as a Shadow Priest. Even if you're like Venthyr and critting mind games, it's going to be roughly around the same amount, and this is just something you can do on cooldown. So I really like this Painbreaker with the Shadow Word Pain and VT buff. I've been messing around with it. I think it's sleeper good. It's not always good, but when it is good, it's great. So I like that. You can try Sefuz just for less complication, and let me know how that goes. But basically, we'll just get into the rotation here, and talents first. Let's get the talents right. Unfurling Darkness, pretty locked in. You need to be able to dot people quickly, and this just is quality of life, makes it easy. Same with Misery. Spirits for Insanity Regeneration, and of course Megalomania, Void Volley, and if you don't want Fade, you can play Siphene, which is kind of the route I've been going recently, but Fade is necessary against certain teams, so just kind of discuss your healer with your healer, whether or not you can get away with playing this talents. But pretty much what I'm going to do when the gates open is if we're going to go burst really hard, let's just say that Triangle is going to be the healer, Skull is our main target, and X is our off target. So the first thing I'm going to do, just to start building damage and insanity quickly, is I'm going to Shadow Fiend the main target. I'm also going to shoot my Unholy Nova, Damnation, dot the other target, and then PI, Megalomania, CC the healer, use my Death first. Actually should have probably Void Bolted to get that 10% Hungering Void debuff, and then at this point you just spam Void Bolt, DP, like look at my insanity, I should be pretty capped this whole time, so you're really going to have to be careful with your Devouring Plagues. Keep that Hungering Void debuff up. Death with you have more than 8 seconds left of your dots. Keep everyone dotted. You can even dot the healer, why not? I'm insanity capped right now. This is really difficult to actually maintain your insanity. I fucked up this pretty badly, but this is a good first take. The main thing I messed up there is I think you want to get your Hungering Void up before you do your first Shadow Word Death, because it's going to buff that Painbreaker by another 10%. But other than that, that was pretty much the idea. You just go in and kind of pop everything, but you don't really want to be in Megalo until you have your Shadow Fiend out and until you Unholy Nova out, because if you're using other globals during your Void Form burst, you're going to lose a lot of DPS, and the reason why that is an issue is because you want to keep spending your insanity as it comes up. Like Devouring Plague should end up being pretty much your first damage or second damage if you're doing your DPS right and if no one's dispelling. Tormented Mind will never do that much in arena. I just happen to be near a couple target dummies, so I would focus on keeping your dots up and spending your insanity effectively. So let's look at this team right here. It's a Mistweaver, which is kind of annoying. We don't like that. I'll get my Fleshcraft up for the additional Mastery. That's kind of like why I like playing Necro too, because I think Mastery is super undervalued as Shadow Priest, and I'm rocking at like 10% right now with Necro, so it feels pretty good. 30 Burst, 32 Haste. Could even sacrifice some Haste for more Mastery or Burst. I think I'm pretty much chilling at this point, but cool, let's get into it. So I'm going to focus target the Ellie Shaman. He does have an Earth Shield, so I might purge that before I start to do all my stuff. And since my team's not here yet, I'm just going to kind of slowly get integrated in this game. Got incapped, don't need to trinket yet. I'm going to shoot my load. Of course he lines it, but it still gets dotted. That's sick. I'm about to blow my load right here. So I'll dot them both. He grounds. Fucking sick. PI'd. Trigger the shit. Silence, use my death, and then just bam everything. I'll CC the healer off my thing. If he comes in line. If he ever comes in line. This is a bad example. We'll have to redo this. More mastery might be good too. Gonna main target the warrior here. My frames are all fucked up because it's a solo queue. So I'll main target the warrior and I'll off target the monk. And we'll CC the Mist River here. So I'm gonna basically walk in, Shadow Fiend, trigger the shit, dot them both, Void Form, Megalo. That's what I meant actually. I'll CC the monk off my thing. Keep using your insanity as you can. I'll swap to the monk now because we got Cocoon. The monk has wall, so he's technically gonna take less damage. And I don't really need to worry about kicks too much. Even if I don't have my dots up, I'm just gonna keep painting and running around using my insanity as I can. This might be an optimal time to disperse too for my healer. So my second void form's coming up now. Trying to fake. Just a solo Q and he doesn't do anything. I'm gonna use my death here on this guy too. Kind of chunk the Mistweaver there if you saw that. Can't just hit what's in line, do the most DPS you can. And if the team doesn't go on me, I'm gonna do a lot more. Trying to keep my dots up on everybody. So that was 8k DPS, and like I said, Devouring Plague should be pretty close to your top DPS. Don't like, at one point I think he may have revivaled and all my dots were cleared, and it's like I can sit there and try to fake every cast, or I can just pain everybody and start spamming DP, and that's going to be more DPS than sitting there and fake casting. So although that wasn't the most ideal example, that's probably a more realistic representation of what your arenas are going to look like. Like sure, you can do 10 to 12k if no one's targeting you and if you have like full uptime and you're not CC'd at all, but it might not happen every time. So go play by play here. It's a little bit different I guess with this comp because we're not quite sure how we're going to be able to kill teams as Arcane Shadow Priest, but you know what, you got to go really hard. So there's the Shadow Fiend, there's the Unholy Nova, and now we're ready to start going. So the monk flushes, but it's fine. I'm just going to focus everything on damage. I'll VE to stop their pressure as well. Trinket the first CC, why not? Start CCing the monk. Should be able to get a fear here. Lost my dots here, so really important to dot the war again. Yep, he's dotted. I'm just hopping around. I really need to be spending my DPs more. If you see, like right here, I'm stuck at 100% sanity. This is bad, but I'm just trying to keep my dots up and peel. We did kind of lose a lot of pressure for no reason, so that sucks. Back to 100 insanity. Need to be spending those DP. This is a good example of what not to do. Just sit on your insanity. This is not good. I mean, I'm still doing really good damage, but we need to be using our damage more for sure. Death the incap with the pain breaker. Yeah, one nice benefit of this legendary is you'll just randomly death CCs that you didn't mean to because you're just pressing it on cooldown for damage. Mind control this warrior very low. The DK's got no kick. I stun the monk off the ROP. He's forced to trinket cocoon and just doesn't get it off in time. So, yep, top damage against the TSG. And again, I did my rotation wrong, so there's definitely more to go. We go priest here. Get guardian. Proc the guardian. Very cool. Here comes the ridiculousness. We go priest again. This death hit really hard here. Like you can tell, like I'm so horny. I want to death the priest so badly. Death from 48% to like 0 there with Arcane Mage Burst. And of course, res legendary. So we're gonna come back to life now because that's the Shadowlands that we play. And we'll fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. We're gonna go priest again right off this. Nobody knows how to play into Arcane God Comp, so they don't realize they can die. Use my Pain Breaker, accidentally death the DB, and we kill the priest the 3rd time. Just had to go through Guardian and Res Legendary, of course, so maybe it'll show damage after this, and we can see. Yep, I did the most. Very nice, very nice. And last game. Archon Melee Cleave. This is a team where I would not recommend playing Painbreaker just because you're going to be needing to refresh your dots, and Painbreaker is going to make that a little harder for you because it is consuming, again, 8 seconds of your dots, so that's 8 seconds you need to reapply sooner. So we dot the warrior. He reflected the first one, but whatever. I got the Shadow Fiend out. We're starting to go hard. I fear breaks, luckily. I'm going to stun the Sham. I'm looking for the Tide, but he hasn't used it yet. Just keeping the single target up on the Warrior right now. I haven't really fucked with the Feral. I'm capped at Insanity really hard as well. I need to do a better job of using my DPs. And this is good that I'm being able to watch it back now, because the next time I play, I'm going to focus a lot more on spending my Insanity. I just didn't realize that you generate 100% more of your Insanity while you're in Megalomania, and that seems to be pretty crucial for the high DPS output, is the frequent applications of Devouring Plague. So keeping the damage up on the Warrior, use my Pain Breaker there. The Shaman flushes, but I don't have any CC, so kind of a noob thing to do. It looks like the Shaman doesn't have to... Right, just we can watch the end of one of these games, because these games do take a long time, but if you can get that opening pressure down and bring it back later in the game in dampening, or when a team's low on cooldowns, that's really when they're going to fall over. It's just a matter of trying to keep up pressure between then, which can be difficult. So I'm going to Death the Shaman here, keep my dots on him, Megalo, stun him, got silence. Need to spend those Devouring Plagues as much as possible, because again, you're going to generate so much Insanity you won't be used to. If you haven't played with Megalo, like right now I'm capped at 100. This is really important to use your Insanity and not sit on it, because now I probably generated another 100% in this time, the period that I didn't even use my Insanity. So Devouring Plague is really going to be your biggest friend, and a team that doesn't have Disease Dispels is really going to suffer with this. So even if they have Disease Dispels, you're going to have so many that you can just throw them on different targets if they do ever dispel, so it's not going to be too much of a DPS loss if someone dispels one DP. If they do dispel one that's really stacked, though, that would kind of suck. So yeah, try to be careful, spread them out if they are doing that. Most people don't. With no Megalo and no Void Form, the best thing to do is just purge, keep your dots up, so that the next time you do have Void Form, you're going to be in a good situation. So there's a Healing Tide. I stun the Warrior to peel, which is kind of bad, but I guess our mage got the block off. Killing the Tide takes forever. One other thing about playing Painbreaker is if you want to death a totem, you almost feels like you never have it, and you lose DPS if you do. But, oh well. It's starting to see the downsides of this legendary, I guess. I'm currently doing more damage than the Fury Warrior, who is running away at the moment. So, no Void Form right now, but we're going to have a Megalo coming up. So, what I'm going to want to do is dot everybody, including the Shaman, that I think is becoming a really good kill target just because he's in the middle of the map. I get my Unholy Nova, PI, Megalo, and just start teeing off on him. I'm going to try to get this DR stun because I don't give a fuck. My mage is like, yo, he walled, we can kill him, next go. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to kill him through wall because I have so much freaking damage right now. So stun him, Devouring Plague. I could be stacking so many Devouring Plagues, and this is something I'm definitely going to consider the next time I play, is how much am I using my Insanity and what can I do to manage that better. And I think it's just going to be filling DP into the rotation more, because it's not worth it to sit on 100 Insanity. You need to really be doing a lot more than just sitting at 100% Insanity. It's not good for your team. You want to do a lot of damage. So if you've learned anything from this video, go Void Form, go Megalomania, and spam Devouring Plague, because that's going to be your highest DPS output. Both of us are playing Megalomania in this game against the Shadow Priest, but I'm doing quite a bit more damage than him. So if you have something to learn, you know, check out the YouTube video. Send Prickly Pears the link. I get out damaged by Pokemons, and I learn from him. He's the king. He gives me the ancient tech that we need. I also just silenced the Shaman, and he got the ground off, but the silence still went through, so unfortunate for him. This death is going to be fat on the lock. I death the Void Volley on accident. I didn't even know you could do that. Trying to kill the Tide. 1 Shadow Word Pain, 2 Shadow Word Pains. There we go, it's gone. Should be able to kill this team soon, right? Here's the Megalo. I need to spam Devouring Plague. PI, Mind Blast, Void Form. Damn, this man's is pumping. I think that's pretty much it for the video, though. I might need to amend this at some point, or talk about things more in depth, but for right now, this seems to be moderately working. Another tip, if you're playing with the healer that keeps wanting you to like disperse in the opener, if you're in Megalomania, you will lose a lot of DPS by dispersing while you're in Void Form and Megalomania, generating that Insanity. So try to have them trade their cooldowns first, and then when you're not in Void Form anymore, you can disperse, and that's fine. You won't really lose much DPS. Keep reapplying that Flushcraft mastery buff as well. That's going to increase your DPS a lot. This should be a time where we're able to win. There's a healing tide down. I actually surrender on the tide, so it won't take you down to 100, or it won't take you down to 35% HP, but what it will do is it's going to remove that insanity generation buff, which I said is super important for the Devouring Plagues. Just one thing to keep in mind, I suppose. We're going to win this game, I feel like, right? If you want to play with an Outlaw Rogue, this is what the game looks like. It just takes forever to kill. And I ended up doing over, I guess not quite 1 million damage more than the Priest, but it was at one point 1 million more. So definitely doing something a little different, I suppose. That's all, guys. I'll be streaming frequently, so check it out. Thank you very much.